A man dressed in luxurious clothes declares that he has fallen in love with another Grace. This is how the story begins. He apologizes, but hopes that they will break off the engagement as quickly as possible. Here we see the main character, Salonia Basson, the bride by John Cheville, the Duke's only daughter. The atmosphere is heating up. She does not understand what is happening. Why? The aristocrat says that he did not want to talk about this right after she woke up, but it is urgent. It's hard for the girl to digest everything. What did he just say? Many questions arise. Why the engagement break? So suddenly, who is Grace? And what the hell happened while she was unconscious? It turns out that the main character suddenly fell into a novel and lived there for 9 months. The main character, Ian Sherville, is her fiancé, and at some point something definitely went wrong. Survive the battle with the Demon King. An ordinary fantasy novel into which a girl was drawn. The story is about the victory over Satan, who was the most powerful villain in this story. The contents of the novel are as follows. She became Salonia Basson, the center of the book, a healer of which there are very few in the Empire. Also, the key character was that man. They are two people who have gathered to enter into a marriage of convenience without any progress or affection. Their relationship gradually began to deteriorate, and during a routine date, news arrived that the Demon King had suddenly resurrected. With such a dangerous threat emerging, the Empire decided to prepare elite troops to suppress it. Of course, they were joined by Ian Sherville, who was the leader of the Fire Knights. Also, there was Salonia, who wanted to do everything for the sake of peace, and the Holy Knight, the second main character of Andrew Heckel. And the last one is Meg Ryan, the third main character who inherited the blood of the dragon. They both loved the heroine, but during the expedition, Salonia and John realized their love for each other. The characters watched this, so they realized that they had no chance, after which they simply began to protect and help the young lady. Their wishes were sincere. The four of them teamed up and easily defeated the Demon King. The hero and heroine accepted the love of one another and got married. This is how the novel should have ended. Until the moment of victory, everything went according to the plot, but on the way back, Salonia became ill, and as a result, she lost consciousness for 3 months. Ian Sherville asks not to worry, he will take care of compensation. If she understands everything, then the man wants to end it all quickly. It's difficult for the Duchess to say anything. She simply sighs at the absurdity of the whole situation. I remember those words spoken earlier, where I wished for a speedy recovery. The girl relied on Ian on a dangerous journey because she became part of the punitive squad immediately upon arrival in the world. Even though she was not a real bride, who would have thought that it would end like this? The aristocrat asks if she's going to continue detaining him. It's not all that bad. An expression of boredom that Salonia had not seen during the entire 6-month journey. It seems that he really decided to forget about her. She agrees to break off the engagement, but promises to respond in kind. The compensation will be whatever she wants, so the man can only wait. The young lady is not going to let him go so easily. Betrayal must be paid for with the most precious thing there is. An unpleasant atmosphere hung in the room, and Young only grinned at these words. With contempt, he says that he did not know how greedy she could be. But the Duchess's gaze is level, unwavering. Now he will know about this trait. The aristocrat suggests first agreeing on a deposit. Salonia understands that he will not show even a drop of respect until the very end. She can't believe she trusted such a person. The time they shared between life and death became meaningless. Perhaps he was like this from the very beginning. It's even better that the girl found out about everything earlier. From now on, he will not be able to influence her life in any way. Ian writes something, then signs the paper and puts the pen next to it. Carelessly, the novel's protagonist throws a leaf directly at the Duchess. This is a deposit. The man asks if she is happy. The time she spent with him was assessed by only one piece of paper? Salonia looks at him and thinks, can she be happy now? Ian is already turning around and is about to leave, but the lady stops him and asks him to wait a minute. She has one more unfinished thing, very, very important. In an irritated voice, the aristocrat asks what else she wants. The main character has a smile on her face. What is she up to? The Duchess holds out her hand and tells him to come. This is their last time. A very cute picture appears in front of us. Even so, Ian cannot refuse. Turning around, he sighs heavily, as if he had become involved with some child. The man extends his hand closer for the ultimate handshake, but then Salonia's gaze becomes firmer. Out of anger, she clenches her hand tightly into a fist. The girl hits Ian right in the face with great speed. The main male character is in shock, his blue pupils dilated. He is already trembling all over with hatred. It's hard to even stand on his feet. John Cherville raises her voice to a scream. What is she doing? But this question needs to be asked to him. Salonia asks if he really thought he could calmly shake her hand. Such a rude man had done enough to deserve at least one blow like that, right? Or is he going to take his anger out on the Duchess? It's terrible to be so limited. The aristocrat wants to say something, but stops. This is where they will finish today. He also warns that she may not come to the wedding. If so, then it's worth saying goodbye. But the lady is not going to see such a rude person off. So the main character was left completely alone in her room. There's deathly silence in it, an empty gaze that is directed downward. For the first time, she decided that she could have a family, but even then, before getting into the novel, the girl had neither parents nor friends and was also very sick. She died young and planned to continue her life as Salonia. The lady now has a family, friends, and a loved one. However, the latter is no longer left. She is still the main character. Who would complain to the place of the Duke's daughter? You should never live in the past. She considers such thoughts to be true. It doesn't matter that her fiancé left her. Her precious friends will always be nearby. They shared life on the front line and went through difficulties together. They are not just the main characters, but irreplaceable people who are very dear to the girl. That's what she thought a couple of days ago. Andrew asks if she's okay. Having calmed down, Salonia asks to repeat what he said a moment ago. In a calm voice, the guy apologizes and says that he wants to take back the knightly oath he took. There is silence. The gaze of the main character conveys different emotions. Andrew continues, there is a woman he wants to serve for the rest of his life. Following the groom Yang, the Duke's daughter does not look very good. Lost in thought, she takes a sip of delicious tea. With a smile, he mentions that same unknown Lady Grace Bennett. Salonia doesn't understand how another main character could change his mind so abruptly. Who is this devil? The girl carefully touches her cheek with her hand. She pinches her cheek. She can't believe it. Maybe this is a dream after all. Ian's request for a divorce, Andrew's refusal to vow, who promised to protect only her for the rest of his life. It hurts. Only after she pinched herself so hard that tears came to her eyes did she realize the full reality. If someone asked her if she loved John, the answer would be no. Regardless of how gentle and soft characters he was, she and Salonia were separate individuals. Due to the fact that she is not the real main character, she accepts the fact that, contrary to the original, they can leave her. The girl speaks her thoughts out loud. She shouldn't even spend time with them. Andrew asks with a harmless look if she said something. Salonia waves it off. He thought he heard it. All these events happen one after another. It's really a shame, but she has no reason to be angry because Andrew refuses his knightly oath. But as a friend, the main character should tell him the truth, right? She turns to the young man and says that she would really like to support him. But there is one problem. Grace Bennett will soon become Ian's fiancée. This is very important. Such unexpected news should definitely shock Andrew. Even with her, he could not get reciprocation. And now Yang is ahead of him again. What a disappointment it must be. But despite everything, the man says with a smile that he knows about it. The Duchess is shocked. It's very difficult to hold even tea in her. Unfortunately, he can't do anything about his feelings for that girl. Andrew is ready to just watch, standing behind. These are the very words that the man once spoke to her. He just wants to do something to protect Mistress Grace. Is it possible to tell another woman exactly the same confession as her? Salonia does not feel betrayed or hurt. Only the person himself decides whom to love. Also, unlike Ian, what Andrew did was not treason. But he is the first friend who appeared after the girl took possession of this body. The fact that he came and confessed like this suggests that this will be the end of their relationship. From now on, they will not be able to see each other as before. This is very upset. Finally, the second most important male character apologizes to his former mistress. But the Duchess replies that you shouldn't ask for forgiveness in front of your feelings. But something doesn't add up in all of this, no matter how much Salonia thinks. Two men in a novel, how could they fall in love with the same person? Grace? Is this really just a coincidence? Even if she asked Andrew, she still wouldn't be able to get an answer. Salonia decides to thank him for everything, those gifted feelings and the time they were together. She hopes that this person will be sincerely happy. The knight with blue hair looks at the girl with a shocked look. After which he lowers him down, he looks very guilty. They get up from their seats, move closer to each other, and shake hands. Andrew asks to take care of yourself and try not to get involved in problems. That's right. The Duchess wishes the same for the last moment, so their hands parted. Now they will never be able to communicate as before. In just a moment, the girl and the man can enjoy the look. A slight wind has risen. Salonia's hair is flying. Well, now it's time to leave. The main character sees off the young man, looking after him. That's all that remains to be done. Her face looks stony. This is the end of the connection with Andrew. Salonia sits down on a chair, and only after a long sigh can you see all. What happened during the time she arrived unconscious? These are the thoughts of a girl. From the moment she got into this body until she returned after capturing the Demon King, everything followed the plot of the original. But at some point, the situation changed when, on the way back, the healer lost consciousness. For 3 months, the main character spent on the brink of life and death. She had no idea what was happening behind the walls. At that time, male characters fell in love with the same woman. But if you stop and think, there is one more main character left. Someone calls her Selly, and it interrupts her from her thought. And here he comes running up. It looks like he was looking everywhere. A white-haired man with golden eyes. Meg Ryan, descendant of a dragon. Salonia wonders why now, really again. The guy asks to return the heart that he once gave to her. These words make the Duchess shudder. History repeats itself. Another person has appeared to whom he would like to give it. Evil grin. He once said that her heart would protect her all her life. And now he demands it back, as if he entrusted it only for a while? What is most infuriating is that Salonia knows where such value will go. With contempt, she asks if the man's name is Grace Bennett. The dragon is surprised how she found out. Did she really conduct an investigation in secret? After hearing this, nervous laughter appears. This is cruel. Meg Ryan silently looks at the main character and does not understand what is happening. The main male characters fell in love with a girl who was not mentioned at all in the original, an extra. While traveling a few months ago, Salonia lost her balance on the edge of a cliff. She thought she would die so quickly and in vain. The girl is very scared. She falls lower and lower. Screams echo throughout the mountain. Meg Ryan rushes after her. You can see how much he is worried. The man turns into a huge dragon and gains even more speed. Ryan's eyes become more pronounced, golden. He asks the girl not to twitch. He manages to grab the Duchess with his paws, and the rescue operation is a success. After this, the dragon carefully rises to the top. Finally, the main character can calmly stand on her own 2 feet. At that moment, she really thought that she might die. The aura of the mythical creature slowly disappears. The man sinks to the ground. Meg Ryan is very angry. Has she gone crazy? Why did you have to climb a steep mountain? But this is because he is worried, because the girl almost died. With a guilty look, she talks about the flower that was there. Silkia is a plant that has powerful healing properties and is highly valued among aristocrats. In the original, it was possible to pick it up without any problems, but why did you now collapse the place where Salonia stood? Meg Ryan apologizes for being angry. He was so surprised when he saw the fall. Human life is too easy to lose. Everyone is so weak and fragile. The man puts his hand on his heart and says that such a girl will need it more. At first, the main character did not understand what was happening, but the process looks fascinating. A kind of radiance appears in the chest, gentle, pleasant, imbued with love. After which, a dragon heart appears in his palms, which is surrounded by a rainbow. It can protect its owner alone in the world. Because of this, he won't have even a tenth of his original strength left, but he's still going to give it away. It doesn't matter so much if Salonia can live a little longer. Such sincerity captivated the girl. It was very touching and romantic. And now it's like he's a different person, so demanding and aggressive. The Duchess is already losing her nerves. Even he. Somehow her mood is only getting... The dragon asks how she found out about Grace. Was she really sick these 3 months? The main character is angry. Is this the first thing he says to a recently awakened person? Then the man remembers the whole situation and asks if her body is okay. Now they have already entered the estate. Salonia promised to return the heart back. Already in a different outfit, the Duchess wants to continue the conversation. But before that, she calls Ella. This is a personal maid, a simple girl with bright green eyes. The main character asks to bring a box from the safe in her room. At this time, Meg Ryan decided to sit down. He wonders why Sally doesn't ask the reason for such an action. But there are only so many things that can change feelings. In fact, the girl really wants to ask, but is afraid to hear the truth. All of their actions in the past could have been made into shells that followed the original plot. Now it's difficult for Salonia to distinguish what was real during those 6 months. The dragon had another question. Why did she keep his heart in a safe? But this is too precious a treasure. The Duchess was afraid of losing it. For a second, he thinks about the words of the main character. After which, the man's grimace becomes more angry than she... At this moment, the maid comes in with the very thing that they asked to bring. There lies the heart of Mega Ryan, the last dragon of the Empire. There's a legend that it protects its owner. Salonia never got hurt after receiving it. But why couldn't she wake up for 3 whole months? There must be a reason. But despite this, the girl is now alive only thanks to the dragon. She thanks him for his protection. The man's face looks sad, and in the end, they wish him all the best. The last warm words evoke strange emotions in the girl to lose so much in such a short time. The girl looks very depressed, but what can she do? The maid standing nearby noticed that her mistress looked very depressed. The Duke's daughter asks to imagine that she was preparing a dish from ingredients that are very difficult to obtain, risking her life, and someone came and ate everything. The maid replies that she would most likely be angry. Exactly. Now the main character understands. She is furious. She was dragged into the punitive squad immediately upon arrival, and building relationships with other people was not possible at all. Work hard in hell, return to normal life, so that all efforts become in vain? Salonia orders Ellie to contact the best guild and get information about Grace Bennett. She definitely won't leave everything like that. We need to get to the bottom of the... Let them look for any changes in habits, whether she suddenly began to say strange things. The Duchess needs to find out if it was all just a coincidence. The maid carefully combs her mistress's hair. She asks with a smile how the main character feels. At first, the girl does not understand what she means. Salonia just doesn't seem very cheerful lately, but there are many reasons for this. In truth, she had a dream today about how they were going to defeat Satan. Then there was heavy rain. It was difficult to walk along the road. The girl was walking behind, lost her balance on the mud, and fell. But 3 palms were immediately extended to her, Everyone showed a desire. Andrew said the road was bumpy. Better stick to it. Meg Ryan offered to carry her in his arms if it was difficult to walk. Ian simply extended his hand. "Let's go, ladies." These were his words. Of course, she took her fiancé's hand, and so they moved on. Salonia felt that the other two withdrew their hands bitterly, but she could not reciprocate, so she decided not to give empty hopes. And now it's all over. These events will remain faded memories. The girl told her maid that everything was fine. She was just dreaming about old times. At this point, she wants to know more about her father. Ellie replies that the Duke has been a little depressed lately and is very worried about her. He said something like, "Salonia didn't have dinner today again. We need to prepare delicious dishes right now." Made a lot of noise. At least someone hasn't changed at all and is still around. Galloway Basin Duke. They say he gave all his love to his daughter after his precious wife died. A father who truly cared about his family. When the girl got into Salonia's body, she had already agreed to participate in the task of the punitive squad, although my father did not approve of this. But he couldn't go against the child's wishes, so he agreed. But his daughter returned unconscious and did not come to her senses for a long time. According to Ellie, the man managed to meet with the best doctors, healers, and priests throughout the country. He fell into despair when his daughter never woke up. After months of unconsciousness in a world she had recently entered, the Duchess felt her father's love for the first time. She even gets so worried about missing dinner, and just recently... In a flashback, Salonia wakes up to the maid's screams. Ellie says that the Duke is going on a hunger strike until the lady comes down and eats. It looks like he can do anything for his daughter. This is something to be proud of. Although this is a fairly expected reaction after recent events. After he heard about Ian's antics and the broken engagement. The Duke immediately grabbed his sword and was about to attack the Sherville residence, and only calmed down when the whole family tried to stop him. The engagement had been arranged by Salonia's grandfather from the very beginning. In other words, it was the previous Duke's contract. The union of the Basin family, whose wealth exceeded the treasury of the empire, and the Sherville family, a family with a great history that dominates the political world. This could be a very serious marriage, which even the emperor himself feared. But in the end, everything broke down and nothing else will work out. Enough time has already passed. The hairstyle is completed and decorated with a luxurious headband. In appearance, she very much resembles her mother, a very respected person in secular circles. But the face seems much more beautiful. You can immediately see that the main character cannot be confused with anyone. Her father gave her magic potions every day, so the girl did not lose muscle while she was unconscious. Solani's spirits lifted. Now she and Ellie are heading to a meeting with the Duke, who is probably tired of waiting. The window is decorated with plants, and some conversation is taking place inside. At dinner, the Duke asks if she left a request for a woman at the guild. It is true, but does she really have any regrets about that guy? Then he is ready to talk to the Duke of Sherville. Salonia interrupts her father. She doesn't want to be misunderstood. It seems the guild immediately reported everything to him. Finest is the largest information guild of the Flanagan Empire and the business of the Basin family. Information is power and wealth. This is their credo. It was created by the first head of the Basin clan and supported the family throughout its existence. Before this, the main character did not use these services, but it is very convenient to have such a source that no one can manipulate. The Duke continues if his daughter suppresses her feelings just for the sake of her reputation. Salonia immediately denies it. She just needs to check something. The father tensed a little. What happened? She says that Edward and Meg came today. By an amazing coincidence, they also said that they had fallen in love with Lady Bennett. Everything coincided too perfectly, and the main character is simply curious to get to the bottom of the truth. She cannot ignore such drastic changes in people who considered the girl their friend. Maybe their feelings were dictated by the plot of the original. But what about her? Who put her soul into it? If Grace is suspicious, she caused the changes. No, their feelings themselves changed. Perhaps Salonia just wants to reassure herself that it is not her fault. The daughter asks her father not to worry, whether this is true or not. They will soon find out about everything. Yes, she's sure there must be some reason, a detail that's missing. Events develop in the garden. Ian was able to finish his work early. Now they can go on a date. The man is dressed in luxurious clothes. He asks if his companion likes the landscape. And here's that same Grace, a girl with beautiful silky hair and a charming smile. Beautiful sunny weather. The building is surrounded by a clear lake. You can get there using a bridge. But even today, people are working. 2 people are standing and checking the cart for serviceability. There's a swing built on the hill. 2 people, Ian and Grace, are sitting there. They are enjoying the beauty of nature. The man asks if there's a place she wants to go to. This time, the girl wants to go to the store with a dessert that many ladies recommended. When asked where it is, she says with a sweet smile on her face that it's in Roblong. But even at this moment, the main male character remembers that this is Salonia's favorite store. John is trying to convince her. He is quite far away and not very popular. Maybe Brejuel is better? They have a very beautiful interior. The sweet lady is not so easy to break, she continues, because that's where she wanted to go. But the man insists on his own. It's better to go closer instead. Here the girl's gaze becomes somehow strange, unpleasant, creepy. She uses manipulation and asks if she and Salonia went there. Maybe he's afraid that this place will bring back memories of her, and that's why he doesn't want to take her with him. Here she rudely pulls her hand back and asks him to forget everything she said. It looks like she has no right to interfere, so she turns around and starts to leave. The main character is trying his best to dissuade her, because he was just worried that it might be difficult on the road. He says that they can go there right now, and Salonia has nothing to do with it. The witch's tricks worked. She was even able to squeeze out a tear. Yang claims that she is the only one and no one can replace her. That same look appears again, only this time it is more powerful, satisfied. She replies that she really wants to believe in his sincerity. The nice lady is glad that they are now going to Roblong. It was very easy to convince the man. The Duke hugs his companion and orders the map to be prepared quickly. The look of a wild fox under a sheep's clothing, that's what this shot looks like. New news has appeared on the streets of the Empire. A man is handing out a newspaper to those who want it. People have already begun to discuss gossip that has appeared recently. The paper says that Salonia Basin lives in seclusion due to a broken heart. Well, of course, these rumors also reached her. The young lady thinks they are ridiculous. How can these idiots talk about something like that? Such a stupid deception, but they believe in it. The main character went through many difficulties during these 9 months, and for the first time lives as a princess. Only now, on the street, drinking a cup of tea, can she feel happy. You can't imagine anything better. Is this really glamorous city life? The adventures were met with the test they were described in the original. The girl had to sleep on dirty ground. Also, wash in ice water. She didn't even know that such a temperature was even possible. There were days when I could only eat hard bread and nothing more. Then she even thought that if this was the essence of rebirth, then she didn't really want such a thing. No matter how difficult the situation, this is the first time the Duchess feels such comfort. Why doesn't she continue to use it? Her first path will be covered with flowers. It seems that at that time the maid was looking everywhere for the mistress. From her, she heard unexpected news. His Majesty is organizing a grand celebration, victory ceremony. After the defeat of the Demon King, the Emperor organized a holiday for the saviors. Of course, all male protagonists were invited to it, but Salonia could not participate because she was lying with an unknown illness. But then the maid's attention shifts to the newspapers. She didn't even suspect that it was possible to make everything look like it was true. Is it possible to write something like this without checking the facts? Did they really decide to do this because the lady didn't go out? While the girls stayed at home under the pretext of getting better, Ella scouted the situation outside. The very thing we are discussing is the savior that came after a long battle. And among them, the break in the engagement of Salonia and Ian attracted the most, but nothing can be done about it. It seems that gossip is loved very much in this world. The mistress reminds her of her request. The maid says that she did everything as she asked, but the recipient still. The Duchess says that everything is right, John Cherville. It's time to demand compensation from him. He will definitely explode when he reads it, because Salonia asked for something very valuable to him. It couldn't be better. The second maid arrives and says that the deputy head of the guild has arrived. Not even a day has passed. Did your father influence this to collect all the information so quickly? The man holds out some kind of envelope. It contains everything that they were able to get. Personal information, environment, family. This is written on one sheet of paper. Julian, a man who became deputy head of the guild at 24. You can trust this information. They are reliable people. For some reason, the main character is shocked. What happened? She screams and asks if this information is true. The man confirms that this information is completely true. But most of all, the girl is surprised by only one piece of paper. Is that all? She thinks that Julian misunderstood the task and that she is simply a work in progress. But he says that the lady is wrong. Because of this, a couple more questions arise. The main character did not expect to find out the whole truth, but to find at least something useful about Grace. Here is data that could have been obtained. The deputy head emphasizes that the only point that deserves attention is that the lady had contact with 3 men within 3 months after the victory ceremony. However, all meetings were initiated by men. Salonia already guessed this. 4 people who had never communicated before suddenly started talking and never left her surroundings. It looks like we fell in love during the ceremony and a couple of weeks after it. Julian also brought a list of all the participants in the celebration. Emperor, Empress, Crown Prince, High Nobles, Father, nothing out of the ordinary. So Grace didn't do anything? Did the main characters just change their minds? What did Salonia want to know when she began her investigation? Now she doesn't know at all. The girl is no longer sure what she should do. A maid is standing behind her. She looks very sad, apparently worried about her mistress. Then Ellie suggests taking a walk in the afternoon and unwinding a little. She thinks that the main character is very lost today, poor thing. Is it that the girl didn't find anything? The mood didn't get any better. She didn't expect to reveal the whole truth, but it was a shame not to find even the slightest clue. Then the maid offers to go into town and eat the cakes that she loves so much. They haven't been to Roblang for a long time and haven't eaten first-class delicacies. This proposal managed to interest Salonia, so she looked up from her thoughts. That's right. She doesn't have time to worry about trifles. Now she can relax to the fullest. Why shouldn't she agree right now? Suddenly, the girl's mood instantly fell. Why exactly that day when she decided to go outside? I met the one to whom I said goodbye forever a couple of days ago, Andrew Heckel. It looks like there is no choice. You will have to face it. The Duchess asks why he is here. This man looks like he saw someone who shouldn't be here. The knight asks with a worried voice whether she came for the cake. But the main character wants to hear the answer first. It's strange. His face looks like Andrew is very uncomfortable. He is not the kind of person who would behave like that in front of others. Then the next moment, the man stops the girls and asks them not to enter the store. To convince him, he said that all the desserts were already completely gone. Salonia immediately says that this is too obvious a lie. The habit of not making eye contact when trying to lie remains, even in such a situation. I immediately remember those words where he promised to protect Lady Grace with a smile. The Duchess decides to be silent for a while and think about the whole situation. Then he asks if she is inside, the one he cares about so much. The knight comes into a stupor and does not know what to answer. Salonia guessed right. Grace is in the store. Annie invites the lady to buy everything herself, so as not to strain her. The main character's gaze is cold. It hasn't been that long since they greeted each other with smiles and warm words. Has she really become such a big nuisance to him now? The Duchess plans to go inside and eat before going home. The girl slowly climbs the steps. Why should she avoid some extras? If there is only one of them in this place, let her die. This Grace stole the main character's fiancé and must pay for it. Moreover, she constantly heard her name, and this only inflamed her interest even more. The girl was interested to see what kind of person she was, but why was she nervous now? Salonia reaches out to the door, only it opens faster. One half shows the irritated face of the main character. And on the second, a vile and arrogant smile that leaves an unpleasant mark on the heart. But Grace tries to hide her nature. She smiles innocently and says that this is a very unexpected meeting. She really wanted to see the Duchess, and therefore was glad to greet her. This little devil is even more shameless than she imagined. New girl of the main character's Grace Bennett. We see flashbacks to the past where Ian Chervil fights and sheds the blood of his enemies. The main character can be seen in the distance. She asks if he is okay. In those days, the man was worried about any scratch on Salonia's body. Everything is fine with her because he diligently protected her. The girl knew that she could completely rely on him. The Duke puts his hand on his shoulder and says that the girl was very draining. They look at each other with warmth, like a real couple in love. Afterwards, Ian Chervil suggests visiting Roblang, then returning and ordering a bunch of desserts. He promises to remember these days with a smile, and the main character is only happy. Grace asks a haughty question about whether Salonia came to buy desserts. She, in turn, thinks, why such friendliness if they are meeting for the first time? Wants to brag that her man is her girlfriend's ex? First of all, the Duchess asks who she is, because even if I know her in absentia, you need to show manners and introduce yourself. Bennett did not expect to hear something like that, so she was stunned. There's a bit of silence, and she decides to apologize for being late on this. She says her first and last name, Grace Bennett, and what origin, Baroness. The lady of the village is unknown as the savior who defeated the Demon King. The lady forgot a little and thought that they knew each other. In the original, there was something similar. 4 saviors who are always friendly and faithful to each other. That's what they were called. But now Salonia is alone, and she decides to ask. So it turns out that now each person can walk around and pretend that they know each other? Grace comes into a stupor. She cannot provide anything to a person of higher status. But then suddenly someone's hand appears and stops the main character. This is Edward. He says that she has gone too far. Although Lady Bennett was a little rude, she should not listen to such things. This man, can he even make such a face? A stern and malicious look. It's surprising to the Duchess how much his attitude has changed. Jan Chervil comes out of the store and asks his future wife what happened and why is she standing here. Then the man notices Salonia, who is standing opposite. She thought so. They came together. The girl is madly angry. How could he bring Grace to Roblang? He knows better than anyone that this is her favorite place. Why? Lady Bennett hides behind the Duke and pretends that she was beaten with all her might and mocked. Ian Sherville becomes annoyed and asks what Salonia did to Grace, but she didn't intend to. The girl says that there was a misunderstanding. She was so happy to see the Duchess that she forgot to introduce herself. But to add insult to injury, Lady Bennett adds that she probably doesn't like her at all. The man says that there is no need to defend Salonia, no matter what happened here, but it is unacceptable to be rude to his fiancée. Why was the main character looking for a reason? Their relationship ended a long time ago. She was so stupid that she clung to feelings that were already in the past. Why did everything deviate from the original plot? The girl is interested in this question, and that's all. In the end, the heroine hears that this is the last time. It's better not to catch each other's eyes. But she is not going to tolerate such humiliation. It is better for them to behave at least a little more. It doesn't matter why they changed. Salonia is not to blame for anything. She continues to behave so brazenly, has no conscience at all, although he is thick-skinned, but to be so... Ian Sherville cannot stand such impudence and starts shouting. Lady Basin already realized that the man did not think at all about those around him. There are a lot of eyes around. Maybe he should at least try to be more careful. Is he really so proud of the fact that he cheated on his fiancée? The Duke's face turned red. He seemed to feel that he had been humiliated. It is clear how unhappy Grace is. She asks not to continue the argument. The leaving man says that she just led him by the nose and then created this farce. They are already approaching the carriage, but Lady Bennett turns around for a second. A dragon flies high in the clouds. It looks like it's Meg Ryan, most likely hanging around Grace. But this is no longer her problem. It's time to go to the store and buy something. Finally, with an insidious smile, the Baroness says that she and the Duke will soon announce their engagement. It's even becoming a little funny. How much can you brag and so what? But the girl is not going to back down. She really wants to do something dirty to someone. Lady Bennett asks not to be too upset, because she and Salonia are very similar. The main character is stupefied. What did she just say? But the Duchess did not have time to respond with anything to such insolence, because Grace ran away to Ian. The main character was Grace. Now the girl admits their relationship was not significant. Things will definitely change now. The Baroness made her no longer cling to these people. Under the burning sun, Edward reads a note. His hair becomes even more pronounced. The man turns because he hears footsteps approaching. This is the dragon. He asks if the knight knew about everything when he made his choice. Ryan looks intently into the eyes of his interlocutor. This question interests him very much. Edward understood and made the decision consciously, or at least that's what he said. The situation remains exactly the same, although the circumstances have changed. The news of Ian and Grace's engagement spread very quickly. The man understood that they loved each other, and he only had him left. But the feeling of loneliness does not go away. Lady Bennett. The bright atmosphere struck his heart when he first saw her at the ceremony. Edward thought that this time everything could change, that he would not be just a friend, but even this time he had to stand aside. The girl chose Ian, and the knight can only look after them. A man cannot give up these feelings, even though it hurts him a lot. Now he's not even sure how they started. His heart was stolen in an instant. Edward was used to not feeling anything in return, just admiring and observing. Even something so insignificant can satisfy him. Ryan wonders if he has any regrets. It's so easy to renege on your vow. Why did you need to change your mind? But he himself is good, he says this. And he himself took Salonia's hearts. If you were going to take it away, should you have given it at all? These words touched the dragon. Edward asks if he's being honest with his feelings this time. The same goes for him. But the man has an excuse. He was just doing everything possible to protect Selly. She is very fragile and could die at any moment. No, at that moment for sure. For some reason, the knight's voice becomes more rude. Does he really not care about her safety anymore? Ryan's face becomes more serious, and he says that he still likes Salonia. Darkness. It gets dark in the eyes. Salonia? What is this strange feeling? I remember the face of this girl. Innocent, beautiful, as if... But then the bright Grace Bennett appears and calls Ryan to her. She wants to have lunch together. For some reason, the girl appeared at a very opportune moment. For some time, the man continues to stand silently in one place. Edward's face looks very surprised. What went wrong? After a slight hesitation, he turns and says Grace's name. The spell worked. He came up and began to discuss something in a good mood. Just Meg Ryan, is he confused? Why did you start doubting? No, a man needs... At this very moment, the girl asks Edward to come with them too. The knight looks mesmerized. All thoughts instantly evaporate. He even throws the envelope and heads in their direction. Her beautiful voice and sweet smile, yes, he definitely loves Grace Bennett. There are many luxurious dishes on the table, all of them different from each other. The original is over. Whether it's a good ending or a bad ending, it doesn't matter. The main character writes something on a piece of paper. A month after defeating the demons, the novel ended with the wedding of John and Salonia. The end point has been passed. The story that was written from the very beginning cannot be corrected. In other words, now this life completely belongs only to her. Ellie asks if the lady wants another piece. There is no need for her to refuse. Why not? It looks like the Duchess is at a social event. Quite by chance, she overheard people discussing her. Dear ladies are gossiping. How could some baron's daughter steal her fiancé? What a secret. How could one defeat the heiress of the Golden family? But the main character is no longer surprised by such conversations. But the maid is very angry. How dare they discuss this behind the mistress's back? Everything is fine with Salonia. As Grace said, they recently announced their engagement. Therefore, it is natural that the attention of all people is focused on her. The main character has already made her decision. It's hard to let go of regrets, but she's not going to give up the gift of life to these useless emotions. Instead, it is better to enjoy delicious food. It brings happiness. The maid, holding dessert, asks, when will the Duchess return to the treatment center? She just forgot about it. But she reminded her it actually added to her sadness. In the novel, Salonia was one of the country's leading healers, working in a treatment center. But in the end, she herself became a victim of an unknown disease. She was given leave, the duration of which depends on the circumstances. The girl has 6 more months left, during which time she will definitely return to work with everything. Now you need to take care of your own in comfort. Such words make Ellie happy. Under the sun, all the plants look very bright. The main character thinks that she has nothing to worry about. We see a man dressed entirely in black walking through the forest. It looks like it's a man. The hood doesn't allow you to see his face. However, at this moment, he turns around, his eyes sparkling like rubies, his expression extremely terrifying. Events take place on Salonia's estate. The maids discuss how their mistress seems like a completely different person lately. The other maids noticed this too. It was as if she had been reborn, almost not angry or nervous. Recently, a girl smiled at them and said hello. It really gives them chills. But they are very interested in why the Duchess has changed so much. It seems that this started during the formation of the Demon King's subjugation group. Most likely, this is exactly the case. She went to destroy evil, risking her own life, and also lay unconscious for 3 months. They say that if a person is once on the verge of death, he can become someone else. It could also be that the main character did not go to work for a long time. Nervous, often angry, it seems that we are talking about the original Salonia, who lived here before she appeared. Was she like this in the novel? This conversation is worth taking into account, so we returned. A girl stands in front of the Duchess and thanks her for her help. She says that she is very glad that Lady Basin is already much better. Her beauty is becoming brighter every day. The main character sees that discomfort is imprinted on their faces. The 3 girls did not expect such a reception from the Duchess herself. Salonia was sitting and waiting for Ella when she noticed that they didn't have enough empty seats. Just like in the story a couple of days ago, everyone is afraid of the identity of the original lady. But now she is going to live her life, so she must rebuild her reputation. The main character behaves very nicely. Such ladies kept her company. She should be grateful. As everyone knows, She has not been in social circles for a long time, so she has no one to talk to. The girls look at each other and still decide to join. They are quite tolerant and are happy to try delicious cakes. The impromptu meeting turned into a long conversation. When everyone understood each other's influence, the conversation turned to this topic. Lady Abel, daughter of the Marquis of Pentagon, wearing a blue dress. Lady Pelin, daughter of Count Icon, with long blonde hair, and Lady Rowana, daughter of Count Surdy, are the Duchess's interlocutors. The first girl apologizes if her words may seem rude, but today she heard the news about the engagement of the Duke of Cherville and Lady Bennett. Perhaps Salonia is very upset and she is very worried, but the main character denies that everything is fine with her. And how can people be like this? Wagging your tail in front of a man who has a bride. The Baron's family completely forgot about decency. This is a huge shame for the nobles. After some thought, Salonia adds that this applies to both men and women. Lady Palin agrees. Hertz was also mistaken, cheating with such a high title. Indeed, not only was the lady his fiancée, but she was also lying unconscious. The main character doesn't feel that bad. Newspapers describe in great detail everything related to the engagement. Most people condemn this behavior, but because of Ian's high status, many pretend that nothing unusual happened. However, this will last as long as she remains silent. If he thinks that Salonia will simply watch as she is attacked, he is deeply mistaken. The Duchess is even glad that she was able to get rid of this problem early. Some noise distracts the girls from their conversation. It looks like someone has arrived. Lady Vale recognizes this man, but the main character does not understand what is happening. Others were also very surprised, even the waiter. At that moment, the atmosphere changed greatly, and Salonia noticed it. This is the same man we saw in the forest, but why is he here? The main character asks who this man is. Apparently, many people know him. The Night Beast is a muscular man with beautiful facial features, but what attracts me most is his gaze. It's hard to take your eyes off him. Salonia thinks that this face is somehow familiar. She is sure they met somewhere. This is the world of a romance novel. All important characters must have a distinctive appearance and personality. The main characters leave behind a feeling of nobility. She can't believe that the man with the beautiful face of the sculpture was not mentioned in any way. An ordinary extra will never have such a nickname. She suits him very well. He doesn't seem like the type to have a sweet tooth. Unusual tastes? An unknown man is talking to the cook. It is clear that the worker is worried. He gives him a black bag. It looks very suspicious. Is he really going to do something bad to the owner? But Lady Abel says that this is not so. There is just ordinary food there. The main character is a little surprised, but there are rumors that it is being distributed to the hungry. Pelin considers this a good deed. The Night Beast seemed like a sad person. Salonia realizes that he became famous due to his righteousness, but she is visited by an alarming feeling that she shouldn't let him go like this. The man's shirt opens slightly, revealing a large scar underneath. The Duchess jumps up. It looks like this man has something on her. This is a very unusual scar, in fact. This world is safe if you do not take into account the threat from demons. Therefore, he could only receive such a scar in a very unusual situation. Who is this person? The girl is very interested to know. It's already dark. The main character is heading back on her carriage. There they discuss the Night Beast and its cut on the chest. The maid personally did not notice it. But she can tell some rumors. He exterminates dangerous monsters and criminals in an equal world. Perhaps it was because of this that he received the wound. Salonia understands that this is completely wrong. Maybe she's pushing herself too hard. Ellie asks how the lady was today. Is your mood better? Today she met good people. Yes, she has definitely changed because the Duchess has not been out in public for a long time. At first, those noblewomen just looked at each other, but then they became friends, and the conversation never stopped. She even promised that she would invite them to the next tea party in the duchy. The maid says that in this case, she needs to decorate the garden in time for their arrival. Except he looks so good. Friends. The girl was with the saviors all the time. When she came into this world, her environment was limited to them. Only after the main character was able to get rid of these feelings did she feel that her world began to expand. Now it feels like she's starting from scratch. But even that's not bad. The cart is moving fast enough. The maid has been wondering for a long time. What does the Demon King look like? There are so many rumors going around. She was told that only the saviors know about her real appearance. Since this is the leader of the monsters, did he perhaps look like a monster himself? The appearance of a demon king, a body that is covered with dark scales and a height of 3 meters. This creature can hardly be called a monster or a person. The most attractive thing is the eerie red eyes that chill you to the bone. The main character replies that he was terrible, but Ellie heard in the store can have unearthly beauty. You don't need to be beautiful to be charming. Salonia thinks that this misunderstanding should be left alone. She is still one of the few who have seen the true form of the Demon King. The carriage shook. It was unexpected and very frightened the passengers. After everything calmed down, the Duchess began to wonder what happened there. The coachman apologizes to the lady. He tried to drive through the forest, but then a whole pack of wolves appeared and completely surrounded the cart. Everything is clear. They attracted the attention of hungry monsters who live nearby. The girl asks if he can get past them if he's okay. That's how long the horses don't move. They're too scared. The main character understands that staying here is even more dangerous. Even if she had a sword, she could handle a couple alone. But there are too many of them here. The coachman fearfully says that he will try to distract them, and she must take away the map. With confidence in her voice, Salonia replies that she will not run away and will save Cohen. They will all be able to travel together if the monsters that block the path are removed. Great! Then the Duchess will pave this path with her strength. At the right moment, the coachman has to take advantage of the moment. She couldn't let them get hurt. Something needs to be done. Ella is very worried about the lady and asks not to go there. There are too many monsters. It's dangerous. But this doesn't stop her. The girl takes a step towards danger. She will fight against dozens of monsters, this time alone, without help. The wolf gazes at its prey, its fangs sharp. The main character is going to use healing light. It will help buy some time. The main thing is to give the signal in time. This is a ray of hope. They will be able to escape. The beautiful color with a purple tint is mesmerizing. The technique really worked. Many monsters ran away, unable to bear it. Now this is a great chance. We need to take the carriage away immediately. But Salonia miscalculated and did not notice several wolves. Was the healing light too weak? It doesn't matter. They are approaching. They need to hurry up and leave quickly. The main character does not have time to climb into the cart. A ferocious monster attacks her. Suddenly, a man appears. He uses dark magic. It was so powerful that it even reached the girl. But fortunately, this helped drive away absolutely all the monsters. The Duchess's body does not move. What was this black light? Someone came to save her, and who was it? The night beast. How did it end up here? It seems this person will not give her peace. Salonia's face shows horror as realization dawns on her. This appearance she remembered. He immediately seemed familiar to her, but he stood far away, and it was difficult to see everything. The girl lies on the ground and with all her strength asks how. After all, he should be dead. In an angry tone, the man asks a counter-question. Does she know him? The main character will never forget something like this. The man she killed with her own hands. No, it wasn't even a person, but the Demon King himself and that scar. The events take place several months ago, immediately after the victory over the Demon King in the castle. The heroes are happy that everything is finally over. Now peace will come to this world. They went through many difficulties. Yang needs to send a message about Satan's death to the Imperial Palace. Thanks to Salonia's healing magic, Andrew feels better. He's going to look around a little. Maybe there are some monsters nearby. The battered main character does not stop him, but asks him to be careful. The final battle was quite intense, so she was exhausted. The girl used all her remaining strength. Even standing was difficult. I wonder if she can hold out until she returns. But then the main character notices that the sword she had no longer has. She searches herself and everything nearby. Where did he go? Salonia couldn't forget him in the castle, could she? In the end, we still had to go back inside. Everything there is destroyed, and there is deathly silence. The main character becomes cold. She needs to quickly find a weapon and leave. It would be possible to leave it, but there are a lot of memories associated with it from the trip. In the ruins, she notices her sword. It even shines a little among all this. Now the girl is already reaching out her hand and is about to take it, and then get out of there. Suddenly, some kind of wind rushes by. Salonia feels some kind of presence. She freezes, unable to move. Something strange is happening. A man came from somewhere, but here was the corpse of a defeated demon king. Is this the true demonic form of this creature? The man opens his eyes. It seems Satan is not so easy to kill. The girl screams and falls to the ground. This is too unexpected a turn of events. Empty look, but red eyes are still beautiful. Could he really be resurrected in this form? The main character cannot allow this! The girl takes the sword with both hands. She must kill him! You can see how scared she is, but this is her duty as a savior. Salonia finally wakes up from this terrible dream. She sits down on the bed. She is in pain. Her whole body aches, and a long groan can be heard. Nervous shortness of breath. It was a dream. Why did she dream like that? Someone opens the curtain on the window, and the rays of sun and warmth enter the room. Ella asks how the mistress is feeling. The maid is glad that she woke up. The main character asks what happened to her and how did she get there. The maid asks to be careful. She was only recently cured. It is better to move more carefully. Not much time passed. They escaped from the forest only 2 hours ago. It seems those events were not a dream after all. The maid will help. You need to get ready and meet the guest. But Salonia doesn't really understand what's going on. Ellie is referring to the person who saved them, but she still has no idea who he really is. The Duchess comes to a stupor. She does not believe that this could be the truth. And then the girl rushes forward. She runs with all her might. Her heel almost falls off. The maid does not understand why her mistress is in such a hurry and asks to wait for her. This can't be true. Definitely not. Only with such thoughts can she calm herself down. The father looks good. He even smiles and drinks delicious tea. The Duke calmly asks how his daughter's feeling. Is everything okay already? By the way, she arrived just in time to meet the guest. This is the man who saved her, or rather the Demon King. Unlike the girl, the man is happy to meet again. Red eyes that cannot be forgotten. She still clearly remembers how the dagger pierced the flesh. Salonia hoped that this nightmare would end forever. But why is he here again? What's with the sudden return? The father left, because he was very busy, before asking him to take time for the guest and thank him thoroughly. So what should she do when he left them alone so suddenly? The night beast gazes at its interlocutor and at some point asks if she knows him. This question makes the girl think, what should she do? She decides to say that it's the first time she's seen him and just thank him for saving him. But the Demon King remembered what she said when she fainted. It's just strange why he talks as if he's seeing her for the first time. It's as if the man doesn't remember anything at all. Is that true, or is he faking it? We are shown a destroyed building, rubble everywhere, and a fire burning nearby. There is a person inside. He is completely shrouded in a cloak. He approaches some kind of radiance. It outshines all other lights. You can tell by his wrist that this is a man. He extends his hand. Then he places it on a surface similar to a regular table. Another man appears nearby. He brought a huge bag filled with something. Unknown people report that he took 2 more. Everything went well. There's a minute of silence. The man stands and ponders some detail. He believes that it cannot continue like this. It needs to speed up. That radiance turned out to be a magic circle. What were these people up to? In certain places, there are red stones. It seems that this is what they mine. Only annoyed, how long will it take to fill everything out? Events again develop on the Duke's estate. The main character understands that the Demon King does not understand her. Perhaps luck is with her. We need to drive him away before he remembers everything. The safety of the father and employees comes first. You can think about the reasons later. The man asks if she will persist until the very end, but Salonia says that's not even the point, and she really doesn't know him. The Night Beast admits that he has lost his memory and has nowhere to return. It turns out that he forgot not only her, but everything in general. This makes me a little happy. Only after this, the man declares that he has no choice and he remains here. The main character says that she is grateful for the rescue, but did not agree to such a thing. If he continues to insist, she will call the guards. The girl's look is serious. She is not going to joke. The Demon King stands up and heads in the other direction from the Duchess. She doesn't understand anything. What's going on in his head? It's so annoying. He goes to the window and asks Salonia if she is curious. The man raises his hand up. Veins appear on his wrist. With just one snap of his finger, He asks how quickly the fire can spread throughout the entire mansion. The girl looks very scared. She says that it is dangerous. But the night beast continues. If she wants to see, then she should sleep with someone, a guard, for example, and then they will look together. The main character understands that she needs to remain calm and think. Think. It took them so much effort to get rid of this monster. There's no way she can handle it on her own. It's better not to touch it. It might bring back memories. Then what to do? This is the Demon King who threatened the entire world. Salonia cannot say that she was the savior who pierced his chest. He persists because he is sure that she knows something. The Duchess further convinces that they are meeting for the first time. No matter how much you ask, you won't find the answer he needs. She can only pretend. She can't say anything more. The man will look. He has a lot of time to make sure this. The night beast says that the girl misunderstood everything. Her father had already given permission and said that he could stay here as long as he wanted. The main character is crying in her heart, Dad. What was he thinking? He mockingly says that he cannot refuse such generosity. The girl doesn't seem to like his presence, but the solution is quite simple. If she wants him to leave, she needs to tell all the information. Salonia does not give in. She has absolutely nothing to say. The night beast, without anger in his voice, says that he is ready to listen to everything at any moment. The Duchess did not know that a demon could have such a childish character. And why did this happen to her? She doesn't think he's going to do anything right now, so she has time to collect her thoughts. Perhaps there is a way out. The Demon King remembers that they were promised to bring snacks. How long can they wait? The girl is shedding tears. But will she really be able to cope with this? The main character is met by Ellie. She immediately asks how the conversation with the beast went. Is everything okay? He seemed to have won her heart because he was so cool when he saved them. Salonia wondered why he became just the beast. Last night, the maid told her what happened in the forest. The Demon King quickly dealt with the monsters remaining after the first attack and escorted the carriage to the mansion. The monsters flew away with one wave of his hand, if the lady had seen it. She, by the way, also flew towards them. The maid doesn't even know what they would have done without his help. Thanks to him, no one was hurt. The girl asks whether there are only good rumors about this man. From what Ellie heard, everyone praises him. Some people from the slums even deify him. Does everyone really believe in him that much? This is the Demon King who made the whole world tremble. He will never become a hero. But there is something mysterious. After his first resurrection, a rift appeared in the forest. Demons burst out and caused great damage. But they defeated Satan, and the rift closed. Since all the problems associated with it have been eliminated, can it be called evil? The main character is informed that the Duke has returned home. Night has already fallen. Even in it, you can see all the charms of the estate. And here comes the father. He asks, "Did the girl talk well with the guest?" She was told that he was allowed to stay on the estate. Was that true? The man stands in front of the window. He confirms everything that was said. He saved his precious daughter. This debt must be repaid. The Duke also heard that this young man is considered a hero in the slums. Such a kind and rare young man among modern youth. Wouldn't it be a great honor to receive such a guest? Salonia believes this is true, but she thinks that a simple reward is enough. The father says that, of course, they are obliged to reward him. However, the guy had nowhere to stay. If you leave him in the duchy for a while, there will be no problems. The girl is worried. It's just unknown. He could be dangerous, but the Duke stops her. We must not forget about the duty of aristocrats. You need to not only take, but also give. This reaction is expected, but she still feels disappointed. Nobility obliges. It is the belief that higher people should help many people. The Basin family dedicated their entire lives to defending this principle. The main character cannot come to terms with it. This must be prevented, even at the cost of revealing the truth. It will be hard for the father to believe, but if his story is told by his precious daughter, he will understand that that guy is a demon. The girl is about to tell the whole truth, but she doesn't succeed. What the hell? She can't say anything about the Demon King. The Duke doesn't understand what this means. But Salonia would like to figure it out herself. It feels like it can't be put into words. You should try writing this on a piece of paper. Maybe it will help. The girl points to the piece of paper and asks her father to look carefully. This person is the only words that appear on paper. Demon King, Demon King, Demon King, what, she just can't do it. Why can't she say or even write anything? The father asks Salonia to stop. This is too much, but she asks to wait another minute. The night beast not only helped her, but also attracted a lot of public attention. If they give money and drive away such a person, what will others think of them? The main character understands that it will be very difficult to convince him. Okay, he thinks about family first. Perhaps the girl will not be able to explain everything to others. So for now, it's worth listening to your father. She will have to watch and find another option. Salonia says that she will make sure that he does not need anything. Excellent. This is what the Duke expected from his daughter. The mood immediately improved. If only she knew how scared he was when she lost consciousness again. The main character is happy about such sincerity and love, but her conscience torments her a little. The father is worried about the safety of his daughter and asks her to be careful because she is the only one he has left. Heavy breathing can be heard from the Demon King's room. The man unties his shirt, sweat visible on his face. He grabs his scar, which is on his chest. The beast is sure that Salonia Basin definitely recognized him. Those words, "you must be dead," just won't get out of his head. What kind of relationship did they have? He doesn't care. The most important thing for him is to get his memories back. The only person who knows him is a ray of light in an impenetrable darkness. The Demon King cannot miss this opportunity. If she's going to hide everything, he'll gain her trust first. The events take place in the Duchy of Cherville, a beautiful estate. Someone is screaming in the room. Everything is scattered. Papers, envelopes, newspapers. Is the sinner Ian Cherville really the savior? The Duke's new mistress is Grace Bennett. Romance or affair? The man is very annoyed. How dare they write such nonsense articles? The main male character orders a list of these newspapers to be compiled and reported on. It's not even funny. Such assumptions really hurt him. Ian can't believe they would question his reputation over something so small. He is the savior who defeated the Demon King. People are so unpredictable. Their opinions change with just a wave of the hand. Do they think they can get away with gossiping about the Duke's family? But here's a letter from Lady Basin. The man asks to bring it to him. Salonia. The man thought she was a kind and pure woman, but she behaved so rudely and vulgarly in Roblung. It seems that her behavior before was a pretense, so he thinks. People may talk about the tragic heroine, but John understands that if everyone knew about her true nature, such articles would not appear. These blind people must understand that this title does not suit her. Most likely, this is a letter of compensation for breaking the engagement. When he breaks away, the Duke comes into a stupor. His hair stands on end. He comes even more furious than before, and orders now, or rather immediately send a letter to the Basin estate. He will go there today. On the table, there is a luxurious service and wonderful sweets. Everything glitters. The main character writes something on a piece of paper. It looks like a letter. It is intended for those ladies she met at Abel, Roan, and Shroud's event. The girl is going to postpone what she had planned. She cannot invite someone because an uninvited guest will come here. But Salonia stops herself. There is no point in writing about this. She invites them to meet at the upcoming banquet at the Imperial Palace. The Duchess hopes they will be able to discuss what they did not have time to do last time. This content is ideal. That's it. Now you can send letters. Okay, now the next message, it will be for Andrew. But the main character doesn't even know where to start. She didn't think she would ever write something like this to him. But the girl doesn't know when the Demon King will get his memories back. So she needs to warn the rest of the saviors. And he is the only one who will listen to her. Okay, this needs to be done. It's better to start with the main thing. It will be more convenient for both of them. Andrew, he may not believe it, but the Demon King is back. At some point, Salonia stops again. This really irritates her. What should she do if she can't even try? Why is this happening? What is the reason? All you have to do is throw these pieces of paper away. By the way, the Duchess was told that the Demon King did not tell anyone where he went in the morning. It's not that she's curious. She just doesn't want to encounter something unexpected. She has to live in the same house with a stranger who is doing something unknown. The girl pulls herself up. In this short time, a lot of things have fallen on her. One of the maids reports to the lady that Julian has already arrived. He is really fast enough. The main character asks to take him to the office. A room completely filled with books, some lying on the floor, and some still untouched. The deputy head greets Salonia. Even though he is not the main character, he is still very attractive. The girl thanks her for the time spent on her and asks her to sit down. She needs information about the Night Beast and any anomalies in the Empire, and also Grace Bennett. The Duchess is no longer interested in their relationship. The most important thing now is information about her connections with the Demon King. It's a strange coincidence that she appeared when he was reborn. There's definitely something wrong with this story. Julian accepts the order. He will do everything as soon as possible. The main character asks you to choose a person who will never get caught. He just happens to have someone suitable. A scream is heard from the other end. You can't go there. This really surprises the characters. It looks like this is John Sherville. The servants are trying to stop him. They cannot let him in without the permission of the mistress. This voice, this uninvited guest, came earlier than she thought. Julian asks if the Duke is bothering her. If so, he can figure it out. But the girl says that there is no need for this. Everything is fine. He can go. A man bursts into the room and says that they need to talk immediately. Salonia stops the noise and asks everyone else to go outside and wait. The main character asks him to sit down. She knows why he made such a commotion. Therefore, we need to deal with his responsibility for the story. For Ian, it will be even easier. He asks Salonia to explain everything clearly, what this should mean. But she asks him to wait and not forget about the formalities. He is talking to the daughter of the Basin family, not to the robber. The girl throws up her hands. Where should all the dignity of the ducal family go? Now my ears hurt so much from screaming. Has the man really lost the remnants of his nobility? He asks if she forgot who she was talking to. Or does her family plan to treat the Shervilles this way in the future? But the main character asks not to mix family matters and personal problems. This is a matter only between them. Yana trembles with anger. But the time has come to tell why he came. The character understands that she is not in the mood for a friendly conversation. He says he understands the reason, but it's worth knowing when to stop. Why is Salonia, who was kind and pure, now filled with such bitter poison? Everything is obvious. The man asks if she is so angry that he chose someone else. There is no need to go blind from jealousy. The girl smiles at the stupidity of such an assumption. Has he gone completely crazy? With a disdainful look, she asks if he is serious. Ian Sherville thinks for a second. Is there another reason? The main character switches the topic. It's time to get down to business. He came to discuss compensation. The character says it's funny. If you ask for something else, he can give you anything. Rights to new mines, business, and the like. But it seems a little forgotten. This is the home of the Basin family. Golden family? Do I need to explain to her what useless things he offers? Salonia needs exactly what she wrote in the letter. It silences you. He asks why she was so stubborn. Is he really going to take it for himself? But it's none of his business. The main character asked him because she wants to. This is the only thing Sherville has that has value. As compensation, the girl asked for a sword, and the Demon King was defeated with it. Of course, its symbolism is invaluable. But the main reason why she chose it is that in the future, the weapon will become a holy sword. Apparently the Duke has already sensed something unusual, since he does not agree.